Hello everyone, this is Whitfield Harrington, and this is part 3 of a series where I'm talking about spirit spouses. If you haven't seen part 1 and part 2, stop the video and go watch those first. Because you definitely are in deep water. This is like jumping into a 50-foot swimming pool at this point. I need you to go back to the bank and ride the boat out to the water, because we're in some deep waters now. First part, I dealt with the origin of spirit spouses, where they originated from. Part 2, I dealt with the operations of spirit spouse. In part 3, I'm going to continue to talk about the operations of spirit spouses, but I want to go a little bit more specifically deep and to give you some of the more detailed explanations of their operations. And the first thing I want to point out is, how do you know that a spirit spouse is operating in your life? What are some of the signs? And I've kind of categorized it real quickly into 4 groups. Single females, single males, married females, married males. Here's the thing. As it relates to sexual perversion, the enemy has 2 primary means of attack. If you are single, the enemy's desire is to push you towards fornication. If you are married, it switches, where the enemy seeks to push married people towards adultery. Okay? So it's kind of like the magnet is designed for single people to draw them towards one another sexually. But when you get married, the strategy becomes to repel you from one another. If you can follow that. But more detailed, for a single female, the signs of a spirit spouse and operation in your life is, girl, you're getting old and you can't seem to figure out if you're going to get married or not. And you're having these thoughts that, what's wrong? And maybe I ought to settle. That's just sort of some of the mental thoughts that come with the territory. But ultimately, if you keep seeing somebody from your past that you used to know in a dream, and they want to have sex with you, that's a sign that you have a spirit spouse. If you go through the process of fasting and praying and asking God to deliver you from everything, and all of a sudden you see that person in the dream and they just begging you, please, 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 it's please have sex with me. Please have sex with me. That spirit is getting weak, and you're almost on the verge of eliminating it. Therefore, whatever you're doing, continue to do it. But ultimately, as a single woman, if you see yourself or have seen yourself having sex in the dreams, rest assured, you got a spirit spouse. And what will end up happening is, for some strange reason, you just can't keep a man. And I'm not saying that, jokingly, well, I guess I am, but I'm being serious. And the reason you just can't get a man and keep a man is because you've got a spirit behind you running away every man that comes into your life. That's his agenda. Well, how can the spirit do that? Dude will be like, man, every time I go over to that woman's house, something crazy. Every time I tried to go over to this girl's house and got a flat tire. I went over there to her house, man, and my radiator went out. Every time I get around this chick, man, something crazy happened to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting there over to her house watching the game, the wind blowing, the tree limb fall on my car. She bad luck. These are the type of things that the spirit will work to make happen. Went over there and somebody broke in my car. You know? Crazy little things that happen. I dream, man, you know, that she had a disease. He going back telling his homeboy, he ain't telling you. These are the type of things that these spirits do. Okay? I dreamed that her family was crazy, man. Having all of these things, and then when he comes around you, now all of a sudden he's looking at you and your kinfolks all under-eyed and funny. Yep. I don't want to be here. That's what he says. He dismisses himself from your life. That is what happens. I've even heard testimonies of people, you know, they were dating somebody and they had the spirit spouse appear in the dream and beat the man up, told him to stay away from him in the dream. You know? He went on. Those are some of the signs, and those are some of the ways that the spirit spouse pushes a person away. And you have to understand that a spouse knows you, knows your ways, not just your acts, but your ways. There could be something that you do that is normal, but the spirit spouse will go to the man and will condition the man to dislike something that you do. It could be just the way you chew gum. I'm serious. You're like, I can't stand the way you smack that gum. And that man will come around you, and that spouse, the spirit spouse, will continue to find little things that agitates this brother until he's out. It's kind of like, I'll say it like this, and I don't take no pleasure in doing this. I won't call any names. I had a relative who's been in a relationship with a young lady for years, okay? This is old that I'm talking about now. And he decided that he would go out and try to get another woman on the side, okay? And one day, this woman showed up at the house, and his father answered the door. This guy's father answered the door. And when the girl rang the doorbell, ding, father came to the doorbell, and the girl asked for this young man. Says, is so-and-so here? And the father looked at the girl and said, baby, let me tell you something. My son ain't no good, okay? He got a woman already, and I ain't gonna let him mess your life up. So my advice to you is don't ring the doorbell again. Go get in your car and move on with your life. Now he did that being honest and kind. And the girl said, I appreciate you, sir. Thank you for your honesty. Got in her car and left. Well, he was telling the truth. His son wasn't no good, okay, to make a long story short. But what a spirit spouse does is similar to that. It does it behind the scene. And it don't care whether the information is used is good or bad, truth or a lie. Whatever it can do to make men who ring the doorbell of your life leave, that's what it's going to do. Man, look at her. When she get older, she going to look just like that. Oops. Boom, they gone. I know that's a soft spot, y'all forgive me, but I'm just telling you, this is how these spirits work. That's how they work. They use everything. to destroy marriage, to destroy a relationship, to drive people away. Anyway, I don't want to go too deep into that. Forgive me if I offended you, ladies, but I'm just being honest. Okay? I'm being honest. Now, from a single male perspective, brothers, God help me. Brothers, if you wake up in the morning from a wet dream consistently, you are seriously engaged in activity with a spirit spouse. Seriously. That shouldn't be happening. And since I went there, let me, from a male perspective, let me share with you some physical things to do. You need to drink more water, okay? And I guess I'd have to make a video for just the men. Drink more water. Woo! See, this is a difficult subject. And this is not coming from a married man. This is coming from a single man. You see the position y'all got me in? But brothers, if you are dealing with a spirit spouse, women will never measure up to what you really want them to be. Nope. You will measure them through this lens, this fictitious lens that the Spirit has made you create as to what a dream girl should be. And you will let some of the best women pass you by. And some kind of way you get hooked up with something that somebody had to sprinkle something in your spaghetti to get you hooked up with. I'm just keeping it real. If y'all know what I mean. You've been bewitched into a situation with somebody that wasn't even 10% of the other lady that you let walk away. That's how a spirit spouse operates. It doesn't want the man to operate at his maximum capacity, so it goes and find a zero and attach it to him. And I assure you that if you are a zero, or if you marry a zero, it's a matter of time before that zero starts to deduct it from what you have. It ain't gonna be able to add nothing to you, no value. And the more you give away, you're gonna get nothing in return. But from a single male perspective, it really comes down to noticing that, and you keep saying, nah, she ain't the one, she ain't the one. You want to sleep with her, but she ain't the one, you know. Yeah, I done met the family, but they bougie. She ain't the one. You keep going, 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 and you dividing yourself all over the world, scattering your seed, spilling it on the ground like the sons of Judah did. And then all of a sudden, you just wasting away. And that's exactly what the Spirit wants you to do. It doesn't want you to be fruitful and multiply. Instead, you got kids all over the world and you don't talk to them. Baby mama don't like you. And as soon as somebody come in your life, they start talking to her crazy. Dude, it's a spirit spouse that's got your life jacked up like that, okay? And you've got to get to the bottom of it. Let me move on, because I'm tired of talking. Married females and married males. Let me throw y'all into one chunk together, okay? One of the signs that a spirit spouse is there is you lose the desire for each other intimately. I mean, I'm with him, but I really don't love him anymore. I don't find her attractive no more. But you stand at everything else that's going down the road. That's a sign of a spirit spouse. How is it that you looked at this woman and she was attractive enough for you to stand up at the aisle and say, I do, now you don't know what to do. I do. You need to deal with that spirit spouse that you've been toting around with her luggage and her baggage for all these years. Because now she's saying, you know, your wife, she don't keep the house clean like so-and-so wife do. I hear y'all screaming, preach, preacher. You know, your wife, she don't follow you around like other ministers' wives do. You know, your wife, she don't go to the gym like so-and-so's wife. You ought to go to the gym more often. Spirit spouse. And she ain't appreciative of the things that you do for her. She just act like you supposed to do it. Can I talk to you? And here he is now. He did something to the wife, and he made the wife mad. And she shut it down. Somebody emailed me a question. They put it online. The man of God, I want to go on the fast, but I want to know if I sustain from sex while I'm on the fast. This is a female asked me this. And I'm like, my God, am I supposed to answer this? And the first thing that came to my mind, which was not the thing I wanted to answer, was, well, do you want somebody else to do it? No. But here's the thing. There's a lot of women out there that ain't fasted. And they ain't saved either. So when you are married, your responsibilities change. You just can't shut it down because you want to be holy right now. Because there's a bunch of unholy females that's looking to do unholy things with your husband. So my advice to ladies who are fasting and you're pondering whether or not to be intimate, and the same goes for brothers. And this is coming from a single man, and I had to pray about this to get an answer. If you're fasting, then don't you be the one to initiate the intimacy. But don't use fasting as an excuse to decline it. And I ain't gonna even charge you for that one. That's wisdom. If you are fasting and you trying to abstain from intimacy, then don't you be the one to initiate it. But don't you give the devil an opportunity to get mad at you while you're consecrated in the wrong reason. Because your spouse might not be consecrated. And especially if it's a man and you all consecrated seeking the Lord, and he don't understand that you just try to get closer to the Lord, and he trying to get closer to you. And now you're upset with him and you ain't talking, and he goes to the mall to try to find a way to accommodate you, and he goes and then he buys something nice, what he thinks something that you would like, and you come back, he comes back to the house and give it to you, and you don't even like it. And then he gets in his car, and here come that spirit spouse. See, I told you. You done took your time to get off work early to go down and to buy something for her, and you see how she acted? Oh, God. Ooh, Jesus. This is what happens behind the scenes. You don't see this happening. And then you want to sit down and have marriage counseling, and the spirit spouse is sitting right there waiting on it to be over so they can keep right on with doing what they want to do. And if I had to just do some counseling to folks who were single, you know, what I would do, considering getting married, I would blindfold a couple, put them in the backseat of a car, and say, we're going to go for a ride. And I would take them to a place, tell them to get out of the car and take the blindfold off, and we would be standing in a cemetery. And I would tell them, this is where a marriage is supposed to end, in a cemetery. The two of you are supposed to be so in love that only death would bring the two of you apart. And one of you would have the unfortunate experience of watching the other loved one being lowered into the ground. That is how a marriage is supposed to end. You see Abraham burying Sarah. You see Isaac burying, or you see Rebecca burying Isaac. You see Jacob burying Rachel. This is how the marriages are supposed to end. Not because you were driven apart by irreconcilable differences. Foolishness, to make a long story short. That's how a marriage is supposed to end, in a cemetery. Now, I've sort of gotten off track, but I had to put that in there. You know? And as a married couple, you all have to find a way to keep pursuing each other. You know, I was in the barbershop a few years ago, and you know, brothers was in there talking about, man, my wife, she want to do this, do that, do this, and do this, and do that. Always want to go here and go there. And I'm looking at them like, dude, it's so simple. Like, well, what do you mean? I says, okay, well, if you make up your mind that you want to go see a movie or you want to go out, then you simply just go to your wife on a Monday and say, baby, look, I want to take you somewhere special this weekend. So what I want you to do is I want you to see if you can get off early Friday, get your hair done, go do whatever you want to do. If you need an outfit, let me know, and we're going to go somewhere special this weekend. You just wrapped her mind up for the whole week. But you better deliver. You better not tell her you're going to do something and you don't deliver. And you just basically go do what you originally planned to do. And that's all she wants you to do, is to be in charge. You go spend the weekend, do something that you want to do. If you know you want to go down to see a game, then you take her to a restaurant around the time the game go come on. Okay? It's just that simple, man. So you got to find ways to keep pursuing each other. This is not an easy subject for me to talk about, okay? But I'm just doing it because I have an obligation to do it. Men, married men, please compliment your wives. One of the reasons why I know this is because I had a job once working in a bank. I was working in the back office. There were 15 women in that back office, and I was the only man. So I learned a lot about women being in that back office because I was the only man. And one of the things that I've noticed, Jesus, I'm getting off subject here. One of the things I noticed is that men have a tendency not to compliment their wives enough. You know, I came in to the office one day and my supervisor came in. I was like, you cut your hair? And the first thing she says, look, see, how is it that Whitfield knew I cut my hair? And I've been in the house all day and all night with my husband and he ain't even noticed. You've got to compliment your wife. So she comes out of the room with something on that looks nice, then say, hey, that looks nice. Okay? Oh, that looks real nice. If she comes out of the room and something doesn't look nice, then I'm like, oh, wait a minute, we need to make some adjustments. Be nice about it. No, we need to make some adjustments. I think you got something, you know. If not, then we need to go shopping. You've got to compliment your wife. She comes out of the house, then spend all of that time, and you fussing because it's taking her so long to come get in the car. She's doing it because she wants you to say she looks nice. She comes out the back, let's go. You ready to go. And that spirit husband is saying, see, you spend all of that time in the mirror, putting all of that makeup on, doing all of this and doing all of that, and he ain't even noticed you. I can't talk about this all day. Y'all ain't paying me for marriage counseling, but I'm just giving you the mindset that associates with what it's like to have a spirit spouse working against your marriage and you don't even know it. And then as a married couple, if you got that spirit spouse, they'll tell you something else that it'll do. It will start giving the other spouse false dreams. I dreamed my husband was cheating on me, and he could not be cheating. But if it's a spirit spouse there, it will plant that idea in your mind. Keep your eye on it. Keep your eye on it. And now you digging through his phone and doing all of this. And spirit spouses. Now, if you're a cheat, you know it. You don't have to be a spirit spouse, but you just know it. But that's how they work. And then all of a sudden, now here it is, you can't have children because every time you get to the period of the month, you ovulate and y'all argue. He's sleeping on the couch. This will go on for years, and then you're trying to figure out where the baby's at. Okay, moving on. What do spirit spouses like? Hold on to your seats. Number one, they love sexual attire. The first scripture that I read to you talked about in part one that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair. In other words, they were fine. Ladies, when you wear clothing that has the capacity to grasp the attention of a man in a sexual way, it not only attracts men, it also attracts spirits. And a lot of times, oh God, I'm going to run out of time on this. A lot of times, those spirits that you attract, they follow you. They follow you home. God cannot teach this. Let me come back to that. What else does spirit spouses like? Sexual music. You think about it. When you go into a nightclub, everybody's in there and they're moving and contorting their bodies in a sexual manner. This is something that these spirits like because they use this music to conjure these sexual images up in your mind over time, you know, and they continue to play and to prey on you through this music. Now hold on to your seats. I done ran out of water and I need some right about now. Whew. And when God showed me this, it blew my mind. The third thing that I have listed that spirit spouses like is perfume and cologne. Have you as a woman ever said, "Whew, I just love the smell, good, what is it? What's to say? I just love me a good smelling man." That's it. That's it. Y'all said that. And the reality is, one night I had a vision where I heard this voice saying, "Oh, so you think you like me, but you really don't know me." And I'm listening to this voice in this little thing, and I see a bottle of cologne, and it opens up, and it is a demon inside of the cologne bottle talking. And the vision ended. And the Lord explained to me, "Son, this is what's happening. That scent is being followed by a spirit." Are y'all listening to me? So when that scent passes by the woman, it's now all of a sudden you say you love a man that you don't even know, simply because he smells a certain way. And now you have directed your affection and your attention that has been caught by that scent towards that man, not realizing that there's a spirit following that scent and the man. Now you're following that scent around. Let me tell you something. Listen to me very clearly what I'm about to say. Show me a man that has a very large cologne collection, and I will show you a man that has slept with a lot of women. Show me a pastor, I don't care if it's a pastor, that has a large cologne collection. And I can tell you right now that them spirits that's following that cologne has women all around here, and he's probably has slept with some of them. That's why I don't wear it. Because God showed me that scent is following you with a spirit. Now, I can't say the same about women with perfume. I don't know enough. Because women are just not like me. You know, put cologne on, and just because a man say, hey girl, and that's it. That's all he got to say. No, unless you got an agenda, which I talked about in the first video. But from a man perspective, cologne, every man I know that has a large cologne collection has slept with multitude of women. So when God showed me that, I knew it was truth. That perfume is one of the ways that spirit spouses and sexual spirits attaches themselves to you, and they empower themselves. They empower themselves to stay connected to you. Now, I want to move on because I'm getting tired of talking, but I got a ways to go. I gotta show you this. Now, where do spirit spouses reside? Now, I want to say this, and I don't want to go too deep into it. Spirit spouses are a part of what's called the marine kingdom, marine spirits. You probably have heard that. Marine spirits means marine is like waters. You know, the Marines, they operate in the water. So the marine kingdom. And if you ever notice, there is a lot of clothing that if you step back, ladies, and you take a look at it, it resembles a fish. Even when I look at these eyelashes, and I'm going to say this as a single brother, I have yet to see a woman who has these fake eyelashes on and they look good on them. None of them. I have not. I mean, you're walking around with eyelashes so long that you look like the Snuffleupagus little sister. Please, those things are not attractive at all. But you know what they look like? A fish. You look like a fish out of the water, walking around with eyelashes sticking out here so long that it look like, you're going to catch a fly in them. Please, stop it. It's not attractive. And nobody's going to tell you, so I guess I just have to go ahead and do it. There are a lot of things that are designed by marine spirits for the sake of making women that feel that you have to do this in order to look like the queen of the sea. Another subject for another day. Whew. Jesus, give me strength. I'm almost out of breath, but I got to keep talking. Now watch this. This is a subject that I told you is deep. I still got a ways to go. I got something that I'm going to tell you that's going to blow your mind if I can ever get to it. In Ezekiel, the 29th chapter, verse 2 through 4, God says something. He says, Son of man, set thy face to prophesy against the Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and prophesy against him and against all Egypt. Speak and say, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I am against thee, Pharaoh, king of Egypt, the great dragon that lieth in the midst of the rivers, which hath said, My river is mine own, and I have made it for myself. But I will put hooks in thy jaws, and I will cause the fish of the river to stick unto thy scales, and I will bring thee up out of the midst of thy rivers, and all the fish of the rivers shall stick to thy scales. In verse 9 he says, and the land of Egypt shall be desolate and waste, and they shall know that I am the Lord, because he has said, the river is mine, and I have made it. Now, here is God telling Ezekiel to prophesy to the king of Egypt. And he tells him to say to him that I'm against you, Pharaoh, and the great dragon that lieth in the midst of your rivers, which said the river is mine own. Now, either God is talking foolish, or there is a dragon in the water. God is telling the prophet that there's a dragon in the water down there. And he's saying that he made that river. God said, I got a problem with that. So I'm going to put a hook in his jaw and I'm going to drag him out. Now, either God is just, a little delusional, talking rubbish, as they say in some countries, foolishness, or there is a dragon in the waters. There are spirits that reside in the waters. They're called marine spirits. When I first got to Chicago, I asked God, why is it that these women are so loose with the way they dress here? What is this? And I had a vision where I saw women walking down the street. The top part, they looked like regular human beings. The bottom half was a mermaid. Marine spirits. They reside in areas that are close to bodies of water. And let me show you what I mean by that. These spirits in the water have a tendency to make people engage in sexual perversion. And it's almost common. Nobody really thinks about it. I was on the street one day driving somewhere, and on the south side of Chicago, and there was this woman. She had on the attire of a prostitute. Okay? And the police had stopped her. And it was as if they were trying to drive her off the street, this and that and that and this. And then all of a sudden, I got kind of upset in my spirit with what the police were doing. Not that I dislike the police, but I saw something spiritual about that. Now, she ain't at a hotel getting a paid customer. She's just walking down the street. Maybe she's hoping to solicit it. I didn't know. But I know the guy wasn't standing there with her. And yet the police looks at this woman's attire and determined that she's a prostitute, and they proceed to sort of push her away. Maybe they've arrested her a few times, I don't know, but they're pushing her away because she has on a very, 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 very short skirt. Did I mention it was short? Yeah, it was very short. And I said to myself, because this is the time that God was dealing with me about marine spirits, why is it that they're running this woman off of Ashland, but nobody is saying anything to the women who are laid up on the beach with G-strings on? I tell you why. Because the waters that you go to and do those things where you lay up half naked, the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took to them wives. So what you're doing now is you're attracting spirits from the waters. And when you get home, you're going to start having dreams of something trying to have sex with you. because you've given an invitation to these spirits. Yep, I told you this was a deep subject. I don't even have time to argue with you. I'm just going to keep teaching. Now, let's see. What I said, what are they like? I'm dealing with where do they reside. Number one, they reside in the waters. Number two, they love to go to nightclubs and parties. I mean, do I even have to explain that? Number three, they love to reside and enter your home through television shows, movies, and the likes. Okay? Deal with that. When you see these shows where they talk about mermaids and all of these things, where they got your kids being exposed to it now, these are avenues that these spirits are using to come into your children's life, come into your life, to what you think is so common. I want to be a mermaid when I grow up. Okay. Just think, is this your daughter having a discussion? No. These are spirits that are conditioning them to fall into this sexual trap. To where you see now your daughter is a little small baby, and she's sitting there and she's playing with her little blocks on the floor, and all of a sudden a man and a woman comes on TV talking about a new series that's coming on, and they're kissing, and the little girl looks up and sees the man and the woman kissing and don't really know what it is, and then commercial goes off, she puts her head back down and starts back playing with her block. Now there's an image in her mind that's going to be played over and over and over, where she saw this man kissing this woman, and what was that all about? Now she gets her little baby dolls and she's trying to make them kiss. Okay, you see how this is happening, right? So this is the way these things are being played out right in front of you. Now they got all of this perversion. They've repackaged perversion, and they're giving it to you right through the television, the movies, all of these places. And it's following you home, reinforcing themselves. I got to get to this one here. Let me hurry up along here. Another place that you pick spirit spouses up from, the liquor store. You see, if you go to a place and they tell you you can get oil and tire changes here, you expect to be able to go into that place and get your oil and your tire change, right? If you go to a place and it says chicken and waffles, you expect to be able to go into that place and can get some chicken and some waffles, right? If you go to a place and it has written over the door, wine and spirits, why do you think you're only going to go in there and come out with wine? There is a spirit, sisters, that's attached to every bottle of alcohol you go in there and get. And it's going to follow you home. And if you turn that alcohol bottle up, it's going to get in you. I'm serious. They got it written on the door, but now all of a sudden you up in arms. Oh, wait a minute. That's because I've exposed that spirit. Shut your mouth and listen. You don't have a problem going to the chicken and waffle place and coming out with chicken and waffle. Now all of a sudden I'm crazy. You ain't gonna go into a place that's got wine and spirits written on the door, and you're not gonna come out with a spirit? Now, I hope I got enough time to finish this, because the last video I tried to record, it cut off on me when I got to the good part. Because I want to show you something. I don't even think I have time to break this down. I'm going to get excited, and I'm running out of time. So I have to stop this video right here, because I got to show you the strategic plot that the enemy does with ladies. Because ladies, are y'all listening? You still there? There are certain clothing that you're wearing. It is not what you think it is. Let me give you this story, then I'm going to end this video. I'm a person, I do a lot of fasting. At the time of me making this video, I'm 30 days plus on a fast, okay? Do a lot of fasting. Sometimes I start seeing things when I get to certain days and whatnot. One day, I was working for a marketing company, and I decided that I was going to go visit a particular section of my territory that I was responsible for, and one was a very well-known shopping mall here in the Chicago suburbs area. And so I visited that mall that day, and I had been on a 3-day water fast. That's it. And I know that when me, as a saved single man, when I walk through that mall, I need to have some fire on me, because it is a den of iniquity. Okay? So I'm just walking through the mall on my way to meet with one of the managers. And I walked by this particular store. And when I walked by this particular store, my spiritual eyes came open. And what I saw took my breath away. And I had to stop in my tracks. Like, are you serious? And turn around to see what I just saw. Oh my God. Let me tell you something. I know what Victoria's Secret is. I have seen it. I was walking through the mall, and I walked by a store, and the name of that store, don't click the stop button when you hear me say that, is Pink. Here we go. Too late, you hear now. When I walked by that store, as God as my witness, when God opened my spiritual eyes, let me tell you what I saw. Do you know the sight of a woman that's in labor? How she's there with her feet in the stirrup, and the doctor is sort of delivering the baby? When I walked by that store, I saw a set of woman's legs opened like a woman in the labor position. And the door of that store was the opening into her birth canal. And everybody that was coming through that store was walking into that woman's birth canal. I said, oh my God. Then it dawned on me. Every woman has a little secret. That's interesting. And what is the one thing that women have that men who are not saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy Ghost are always trying to get? Oh, wait a minute. Let me give you a clue. It has a certain color. What is the color? That's right. It's pink. There's Victoria's little secret. It's that pink thing that sits in between a woman's legs. And that's what I saw when I walked through the mall, when I walked by that store. Because that entire line of clothing revolves around sexual presentations, where they write pink right across your rear end. Designed to catch the attention of a man. And that's another day that I'd have to deal with color association, because God had taught me a lot about color associations. Whew, Jesus, give me strength. See what you asked for? I believe I stopped now. I hope you don't unsubscribe. But the Bible says you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. I'm not out of words. I'm just tired of talking. Because I got to tell you what happens when you wear those kind of clothing. And you send out those little arrows and those men are looking at you and they're committing adultery in their minds, something happens. And I'll share it with you in the next video. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you have subscribed, please don't unsubscribe. All right, see you in the next video. I'm out. I'm tired.